An hour at a time.
You get 20 minutes until you work.
Oh, sorry.
Add an hour more. Alright, you're rolling.
Alright, so let's do this one together. What's the very first thing I should do here?
Subtract 7 minus 2.
Get the absolute value piece by itself first, right?
Yeah.
So subtract 7. If I do that, is the absolute value piece by itself?
Can I ask a question? Can't you just subtract it right there?
Subtract what?
7 minus 2? You can't do that?
Definitely
No,
not.
No, no.
Because what's the 2? Is that a 2?
Oh, it's multiplied.
It's 2
multiplied.
times something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I screwed up. That's okay.
Good.
And then less than and equal to -3. So now you distribute the -2.
Nope. Gotta be careful. That's not order of operations.
Or would you do the absolute value of 3 plus
Now
5?
what's wrong with distributing -2 inside? There's a couple things. The absolute value symbol itself is a function that has to be done before you can multiply.
So would you do? So it'd be 3 minus 5x.
So how do I get rid of that -2?
Add it. Oh, that's right. No, you got to divide it.
Right. I want to get the absolute value thing by itself.
Divide
It's not by itself yet.
Divide negative. Shit. Sorry, Professor.
So divide by -2.
So you cancel the -2, and then you have the absolute value minus 5.
Yeah. So I got absolute value of 3 plus 5x because the -2 cancels here. What happens here?
Of
course it changed.
And of course here. Of course, if I would have really thought ahead, I would have made my inequality the other way from the beginning. That's too bad for me. Because now what situation are we in? Are we in a stay close to me, or are we in a get away from me?
Get away.
We're in a get away from me situation, right? So again, that means I want to do it separate.
Yeah.
Stay close to me, I can write it as a sandwich. Get the hell away from me, I have to do it either this is greater than that, or this is less than or equal to negative that. And that's definitely kind of gross because you've got little fractions. What you really could do if you wanted to is kill your fraction first.
Right.
You could do that. There's nothing wrong with that. So what I mean by that is just double. If you wanted to, you could double. Not squared. Double. So you get 6 plus 10x.
How do those become positive? Up above, you divide it by -2 and you have +2. How's that possible?
Because it was a minus, I just killed the negatives.
Oh, that's right. Divide.
Yeah.
Double stick rule. Okay. No.
Is that cool? If you want to, you don't have to. And then subtract 6. Divide by 10. Oops. So you get that. Or, and then just the other side. Same idea, I could double it. So you get 6 plus 10x. Actually equal to -3. Subtract 6. Divide by 10. So above -3/10 or below -9/10, right?
Wait.
Ooh.
Holy cow.
Why'd you get the 3 and 6? 2 times 3 is, no, on this side.
Shouldn't it be a -6 on the other side too?
Isn't it 6 over 2?
Sure, yeah.
6 over 2.
What's the matter?
Isn't
Yeah,
that supposed to
the
be
other
6
side.
over 2?
Yeah, so subtract 6. -3 minus 6 is
I see.
-9.
-6.
Right. -3 minus 6 is -9. Right?
Oh, the 2's cancel. Okay. Goes with that.
Well, now I'm hoping that this step, starting here and starting there, that should be easy. So I'm going to always do that a little quick. Because you should be able to solve those inequalities, just like solving equations. If you have any trouble with that, you desperately need to get that solved now. Because that's going to be something you have to be able to do pretty quickly throughout this whole course. It's going to pop up all the time.
Is that 2.6? Which one?
No, it's 2.5.
2.5?
Yes.
No, 2.6.
We don't do 2.6.
Inequalities involving absolute value. Page number 153.
I am doing that. Cool. All right, doing some extra. All right. So then you could draw the graph here. -9/10. If you want to, you can make your scale tenths. -9/10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. There's -3/10, right? So it's greater than or equal to -3/10, or less than or equal to -9/10. Okay. So, now that I've, there's no nice way out of this for me, but Yasmin just pointed out to me that I threw that section out, actually. So all the inequality stuff, we're going to make that like a bonus question on the test. So on every test, I make like 3 bonus questions. So one of them is going to have an inequality in it. So now everybody has seen how to do it. So if you want to get some bonus credit for it, do a little practice on it. The most you guys are going to have to do for homework and for not bonus credit is the equations with absolute values, like like what we did earlier with just equals. The inequalities is actually section 2.6. I got a little overzealous. I thought I was all in 2.5. So the most you guys have to do is the equations. The inequalities, if you want to, you can study a little bit, because I'm going to definitely have an extra credit question on the test. Right? So the whole thing about sandwich and restraining order, I love that. Obviously, I kind of like talking about that. So excuse me for getting a little overzealous. The most you guys have to do is something like this. Right? Okay. And of course, this is relatively easy now.
Yeah, easy.
How do you do this?
You have to give it a 7.
Yeah, move the 7 out. And now you make your 2 cases, right? So compared to the inequalities, this is pretty damn nice.
Is that the most one? I thought that was the bracket. Is that 2x, not 12?
Yeah, there's absolute values.
Okay, 2x.
Yeah. So in a test, they're going to be skinny. They're going to obviously not be 1s. On the board, I got to be careful. You're right.
Yeah.
So now you can make your 2 cases. This is 1, or
-1.
this is -1, yeah. And then solve those. That's pretty simple. That's pretty straightforward. The one little equation that we hadn't looked at yet, that I was kind of saving for last, is the one where you get more, not more, you get less than 2 answers. So it makes sense you should be able to get at most 2 answers because of the fact you can go one way or the other way, right? It's all about distance, so you can go back or forwards. So how the hell would you have an equation where you would only get 1 answer? It would be something like this. Absolute values on both sides. Now, some people might think, if 1 absolute value means 2 cases, 2 absolute values must mean 4 cases. Thank God, no. And I don't know if you guys are kind of with me on that. If 1 absolute value, you make it equal to it or the negative of it. So maybe I make these equal to each other, and then this equals the negative of that, or this equals the negative of that, or they equal the negative of each other. But if you think about it, putting a negative on one side is the same as putting a negative on the other side. Those 2 cases are the same. And if I put a negative on both sides, don't they cancel? So there really is still just 2 cases. Either this equals this, or this equals the negative of this. There's always only 2 cases. Okay, how many absolute values they throw in there, right? So you leave it alone, or one is the negative of the other one. So this leads to possibly some freaky things. On this side, this is pretty straightforward. Right? Add the m. Subtract the 2. Divide by 2, and you got it. Bam. But what do you get on the other side?
First you have to distribute the negative sign.
Yeah, distribute the negative sign.
You get -5, you do m.
Negative 5
Plus m.
plus m. So what do the m's do?
Minus
Minus
5,
m, minus m.
minus, yeah.
That's all, yeah.
They go away, right? Which means what? What does 2 equal negative 5 tell you? Don't circle that.
There's no solution
Beautiful. That piece gives me no answer.
because it has no variable in it, right?
So there's no solution to this case. So what's the answer to the question then?
It's that one right there.
That, the only answer I got.
The solution is that one.
So how is it possible to get less than 2 answers if you start with an equation that's got a couple absolute values in it, right? That's more restrictive then. So you're going to get just one, possibly just get one answer. You can still get 2, you might even get none. Okay.
Because, let me see, the reason why it doesn't have a solution is because it doesn't have a variable in there. It has to have like an m.
Yeah,
The
either
solution,
if
right.
your variable goes away, it's either no solution or all real numbers.
Okay.
So this could actually have an all real number solution also.
Okay.
If it would have been 2 equals 2, that's always true.
Okay, no,
Right.
see, before I didn't see it before, now I'm beginning to see
So be
it.
careful. If your variable wants to go away, let it go away.
So here, the solution is 3 over 2.
That's it. Exactly. So if you wanted to write that, put a little 3 halves, bam. It's the only thing that answers. Okay, so that's the most you'd have to worry about right there. So to throw more than one absolute value symbol in there. Still the same cases. It's kind of crazy. All right, so a little